Thanks for joining. We're talking about Discover Your Perfect Neighborhood, and this is Nitesh. I'm the founder of NextPerp. So we've been doing this. We've been helping people figure out their perfect neighborhood for almost 4 years now. And initially, my personal story is that I had to relocate from Boston to the San Francisco Bay Area for a job for my previous job. And when I was looking at it, I figured out how hard it was to figure out your perfect neighborhood. And so I started NextPub almost 4 years back to help in that process. So firstly, the first thing we wanted to talk about is, why is neighborhood selection important? Neighborhoods are important because your quality of life depends on the quality of the neighborhood. There's a lot of research done, where scientists have said, happiness is correlated to where you live, and that's intuitive because where you live, a lot of things depend on it. Depends who your neighbors are, who the people you would hanging out with, the places you might go out with, where your kids go to school. So neighborhood selection become much more important, but even more important uh, today, when over the last 1 year, more than half of US workforce has worked from home. And when you're working from home, you're spending a lot more time at home, and you're spending a lot more time in the neighborhood and the community that live. And so selecting the right community becomes even more important in this environment, especially if you can work from home. So what are the challenges about in trying to figure out the right neighborhood? The biggest challenge by far is, that a lot of data that you need to make the decisions is dispersed. It's dispersed over a lot of different places. A lot of people will go to Google Maps. They will go to Zillow to look at property and affordability information. They would call their friends and family. Might visit a lot of different forums, and so there isn't one place where people can get all the data to make the right decision. Again, one of the trends that is happening is that people are working from home, and that makes neighborhood selection a little bit harder. So when I personally uh, I work and live in Boston. When I used to work in when I had to go to office all 5 days a week, I always wanted to be 30 to 40 minutes away from work. And I didn't want my commute time to be more than that. But now, when people can work from home and only have to go to the office maybe 1 or 2 times a week, people are willing to commute much longer. And once people are willing to commute much longer, neighborhood selection becomes hard because in one in so if I take Boston as an example, if you wanted to live, say, 30 minutes from Boston, there are about 80 to 90 towns that you can select from. But let's say if you're willing to commute 2 hours, that selection goes to 450 towns. And, trying to figure out what's the best town, based on, excuse me, based on 450 different towns is extremely hard. It's something that you can do manually. And so a lot of times people try to rely on real estate agents. But again, uh, real estate agents are not the best fit for neighborhood discovery. While they're great at helping you figure out a house, they're not great. There's always a bias. If I work in a certain area, I want to sell you that area. And that's the typical bias that people have. And same thing applies, when you talk to your friends and relatives. If someone lives in an area, they're always biased towards it. And what you want is, uh, you want to make a decision that's right for you. That's unbiased, because let's face it, most people, the US average is, that most people spend 10 years in the home that they buy. So that's a long time, and you want to make sure you're making the right decision. And lastly, it's extremely hard to do manually. Most people don't move that often, and so they're not well trained into what are the things to look for. It always helps to talk to people who have done it before.